everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Momo. How are y'all doing today? This week we had the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie and I'm super psyched. At the time of recording I haven't been able to watch the movie yet. It's not out yet. So today I'm taking the Toy Animatronics and designing their human forms to celebrate the FNAF 2 movie release. Let's begin with Toy Bonnie. Toy Bonnie was introduced in FNAF 2. And despite looking like a more modern model than the classics, the toy animatronics are actually older than the ones we see in FNAF 1, since FNAF 2 chronologically happens before the first entry in the series. FNAF 2 is also the only game where we can pinpoint the exact year, and since the location was opened for less than a year, we know the toy animatronics were built in 1987. They were made using pieces from the original FNAF animatronics. Because Fazbear Entertainment didn't want a repeat of the tragedy that closed Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, these animatronics were equipped with state-of-the-art facial recognition software connected to a criminal database. In theory, this would prevent criminals and predators from entering the facility. Despite this more robust safety system, the toy animatronics still attack the player and sometimes act erratically. There's a lot of debate about whether they're haunted, partially haunted, or just malfunctioning. It's never made super clear, but I like to believe they are indeed haunted. The first few FNAF games didn't have voice acting, so for the longest time we had no idea what Toy Bonnie's personality was like. The first real glimpse we got was in the Special Delivery AR game, where we finally had voice lines. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I like his characterization. They made him the band member who wants to be a superstar. Petty, arrogant, and obsessed with being the center of attention. It feels flat, I suppose. It's not particularly funny either, and with his high-pitched voice he comes more across like an annoying brat than a charismatic, flawed superstar. For his human design, I took inspiration from 70s and 80s rockstar outfits. I wanted him to feel flashy, so I gave him bright blue hair, an open shirt, and shiny bright blue vinyl pants. I also kept his bright red cheeks. At first, I thought I'd add that detail to the other toy animatronics too, but I ended up not doing it, and I actually think it works in Toy Bonnie's favor and matches his attention-hungry personality. I've heard a lot of people really like Toy Bonnie, but I don't have strong feelings about him. The one thing I do love is the fact that he's going to be played by MatPat in the movie. I've been a MatPat fan for ages, so it makes me really happy that his role in the FNAF cinematic universe didn't end with this portrayal of Ness. Also, the memes that have come out of this are absolute masterpieces. Next up, we have classic Chica's counterpart, Toy Chica. Toy Chica, like most of the toy variants, is pretty distinct from classic Chica. While classic Chica is this chubby chicken with a bib who loves food more than anything, Toy Chica is meant to be a sexier version of her. You can tell because she's thinner, has more feminine curves, and her outfit basically consists of a bib and a bikini bottom. Another thing I noticed is that classic Chica's bib says "let's eat" while Toy Chica says "let's party", which might mean Toy Chica isn't meant to be as associated with food, at least not in the same way as the original Chica concept. It's also interesting that this version of Chica started the trend of the thin, sexy Chica designs, which is kind of a shame because I really love her older designs. Toy Chica is unmistakably a yandere. Her voice lines are a perfect example. She tries to act seductive and alluring, but she's also aggressive and intense. She's very sadistic and clearly likes messing with the player. I wonder if they're going to keep this personality in the movie. In the movie concept it seems a bit out of place, but they might make it work if they set it up well. For her human design, I wanted her to look very sweet and inviting, something that would fool people into falling for her. She's a yandere, so she needs to look cute on the outside while being obsessive and violent internally. Looks are definitely deceiving when it comes to Toy Chica. Her outfit is inspired by those old 80s aerobics VHS tapes that were super popular at the time, so I gave her a leotard with a loose shirt on top. On the shirt, I kept the beep design, except I wrote "Let's eat" instead of "Let's party" because I just love the motto more. Her hair is in this really messy bun. It kind of looks like a bird's nest, but for some reason I really love it. I actually have more thoughts on Toy Chica than I do on Toy Bonnie. I have mixed feelings about her. As a character, I really like her, although I think they try a bit too hard to make her sound sexy. As a Chica variant, she falls a little short, because she's so different from classic Chica's personality type. And she also started the Thin Chica trend you see in Funtime Chica and Glamrock Chica, which worked really well for Glamrock Chica, but was pretty abysmal in Funtime Chica. Foxy also has a toy variant, although they're not called Toy Foxy, at least not anymore. Meet Mangle, or what's left of them. Mangle is easily the most tragic of the Toy Animatronics. Like every Foxy, they aren't on the main stage with the rest of the band. Instead, they're placed in Kids Cove, a section of the restaurant meant for the youngest kids. And I don't know what they're feeding these kids, but supposedly they would tear this animatronic apart every single day. Eventually, the employees just got tired of fixing them, so Mangle basically became a take apart and put back together attraction. That's why they're in such terrible shape. 3 legs, 2 heads, barely any outer shell. In most games, they behave almost like an animal, crawling around and hanging from the ceiling. There's even a theory that Mangle is possessed by Susie's dog because they act so differently from the other animatronics. I'm not sure I fully buy that, but it is an interesting idea. When we finally got voice lines for them, we got a glimpse of their true personality. They have both a female and male voice as a nod to one of the oldest jokes in the franchise, Mangle's gender. Since it's never confirmed, most people just use they, them, or it's. From the way they speak, it's clear they aren't very confident and are painfully aware of their condition. They're often sarcastic and a little nihilistic, probably using humor as a coping mechanism. When designing their human version, I didn't want to draw someone physically torn apart, so I based them more on a polished Toy Foxy model. Their clothes are clean and put together, but they still wear an eye patch as a nod to hidden injuries. And much like Toy Chica, looks can be deceiving. Mangle acts cheerful and enthusiastic, but it's all a front to hide how deeply depressed they are. I actually love Mangle. They're super interesting and have so much potential. And honestly, they're the animatronic I'm most excited to see in the movie. The leader of this band of toys is Freddy's variant Toy Freddy. Interestingly, while most toy variants look very different from their classic versions, Toy Freddy actually keeps most of Freddy's original features: the brown fur, the black bow tie, and the top hat. Personality-wise, I think the devs had a lot of fun with him because they made him a gamer. He's much friendlier than most animatronics. In UCN, he doesn't even attack you unless he loses his game of Five Nights at Huggies, which is basically a FNAF game inside a FNAF game. From his voice lines, you can tell he's a bit childish and pouty. I had a hard time designing his human counterpart. A goofy gamer doesn't really mix with accessories like a top hat and a bow tie, but I also couldn't bring myself to drop these elements completely, since they're the most iconic parts of every Freddy variant. So I went with a more classic interpretation of Freddy and drew him as a dapper singer. He's meant to look and feel friendly and approachable. Much like the game version, he really wants to have friends. He's just so bad at socializing that he ends up coming across as a little overbearing. I really like Toy Freddy. I feel like his personality was modeled after the players, and I love that. The final character I'm doing today is probably the most important animatronic in the entire franchise, the puppet. The puppet first appears in FNAF 2, but it's clearly a much older character. It was created as a security measure for an older location, And in The Secrets of the Mimic, which takes place in the 70s, there's already references to the puppet, so this character might have been created way before FNAF's first location. The puppet is possessed by Charlie, one of the owner's daughters, and Afton's first victim. Possibly the first possessed animatronic too, but we're not completely sure. This is one of those FNAF characters that had layers and layers of theories built around them over the years. They keep appearing everywhere, they look similar to the crying child from FNAF 4, their nightmare variant still shows up in later points of the timeline, they're referenced in earlier points of the timeline. There's so much mystery surrounding them, which makes the puppet incredibly interesting. What we can tell for sure is that the puppet acts as a guiding light for the other ghost children, taking on a caretaker role. It was the one that helped the children possess the suits, it was the one to create a fake memory to appease the Golden Freddy spirit in the good ending of FNAF 3, and it was the one that kept following Afton around to make sure he couldn't hurt the kids anymore. The only animatronics that match their importance are Golden Freddy, the de facto leader of the Ghost Children, and Springtrap, the literal killer / main antagonist of the series. When designing their human counterpart, I had to make a choice. Do I draw them as male or female? The puppet is possessed by a little girl, but the character itself is male. Since I'm drawing the puppet as a character, not the spirit inside it, I turned them into an emo boy. Tall and lanky like the animatronic, looking stressed and exhausted because he's basically responsible for taking care of everyone, is very protective and he dresses casually and comfortably. It's hard to not like the puppet. I'm honestly so excited to see what they do with him in the movie. And that's all I have for today. If you want to support the channel and help me keep making videos like this, you can join my channel memberships. Members get early sneak peeks of upcoming videos and personal projects, exclusive emojis and loyalty badges, and even a shout out at the end of my videos just like this. Thank you so much to Sunny's Art in the Sky for supporting the channel. Your support means the world. If you want to see more stuff from me, I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at momopurin_chan, on Kara at momopurin, and on Blue Sky at momopurin_chan. Thank you all so much, and until next time, bye!